stopped eating except for a few morsels. And what I was trying to do was just divest myself of everything that I loved in the world. Food, images, the things that I enjoyed. This is the truth, I even stopped playing chess. Okay? And when that happened, I told one of my friends, when I stop playing chess, I'm going to be leaving this world. Well, things had gotten so bad and so low that I didn't think I was going to recover. And I was in and out of the hospital. In fact, I was in the hospital for 1 month, and Doc was coming to see me pretty frequently, and he was relating to the class here how I was doing. That's the main reason why I wanted to come and share my story with you all, because I knew you all, along with my other friends, would pray, and I want to thank you for that. Well, I met a doctor, Dr. Daniel Kim. He's Korean American, and he's one of the top surgeons in the country. And as far as I'm concerned, he's my savior. And he performed that surgery on me, and it was a success. And gradually, over about a 2-month period, I've gotten to where I could sit up and started getting my appetite back, and I've just been progressing. I'm still very weak. I'm still very tired. I tire easily, and sitting up for an entire day is very difficult for me. But I have come a long way, and I didn't conceive that I would be sitting up here talking to you all, talking to anybody, eating my favorite foods again, looking forward to the football season, playing chess again. And about 2 days before the surgery, that's when I decided I wasn't quite ready to die. But up to that point, you know, I just had lost interest in life. I remember Donna telling me about her grandmother, how when she was close to death, how she had just sort of lost interest in everything in the world, family, friends, food. And I thought about that because I just had lost my love for this planet. And I was ready to make that transition. And I told some friends that this is it. But really, my purpose in this life wasn't done yet. I thought it was, but, you know, God just, you know, it wasn't my time yet. As much as I wanted to help God. Because I was ready, you know, tired, exhausted. This body right now, I've just squeezed out just about all the life that it has had in it over all these years. There's a story in the Bible about a man who was paralyzed for 38 years that Jesus healed in John chapter 5, I believe. Well, it's been 38 years that I've been paralyzed after that football injury. And this is football season. And young men, you're going to hear about it in Houston and around the country. Young men are going to have a spinal cord injury. And mine happened on October 25th. I don't celebrate that day, but I remember it, I commemorate it. I don't like to be alone on that day. I like to be with friends because it's a sad day for me. So I try to keep myself active or mentally engaged in doing something. But let me just move on here for a minute. When I was really sick and shortly after the surgery, I still didn't see my way out of it. I was in the hospital and I was very depressed. I remember Doc telling me, well, brother, you're just saying these things because of the way you feel right now. You're physically not strong yet, and you still got a ways to go, but I just didn't see myself getting any better or feeling better. I just wanted to feel good the way that I used to feel, even though I was paralyzed. For many years, I felt great. I enjoyed living. I enjoyed seeing my friends and doing things. But it's just terrible when you don't feel good. You know, it's a chore to get up every day. But his prediction came true, and over the weeks and months, after about maybe 1 month, I could sit up without being dizzy. I could sit up without losing my breath or having my heart speed up and thinking I was going to pass out. And you know what? It just took time. I don't bounce back the way I used to, but it just took time and gradually. And I just can't explain to you all how wonderful it is just to be sitting up here and talking and being with my friends and trying to do God's work. Because silver and gold I don't have, but what I have I can give to you. I can share with you a spiritual gift. And my life is going to be devoted to that for however much time that I have left and however much energy that I'm able to do this. So this is basically where I am right now, and I want to thank you all for your prayers, your concerns, the hospital visits, and just the overall friendship, and people care about me. So this is what that vibration and those prayers and all of that has really just infused me and kept me alive and kept me going. Even though I'm tired and exhausted, but I'm trying to have a good attitude about it. I'm trying to be more positive about it and just do the work that I have to do while I'm here and not complain about it. And I used to unload on Sister Inez. Many of you know Doc's mom. And I mean, that old soldier was 91. I mean, she had reason to be tired and exhausted. You know, she logged a lot of mileage, you know.
Still strong.
I would unload on her sometimes, but you know, I'm still a young man, you know. So just keep me in you all keep me in your prayers. But let me just tell you, and then I'm going to take some questions in a minute. I just want to tell you about my injury and the beginning of my ordeal. In 1976, I really had the world by the tail, and the sky was the limit, I thought. When I was 18 years old, I had so much in front of me, and I was looking forward to life. And Doc, if you just want to continue, you can go on some more, but I mean, I was on the threshold of just, who knows what. I'm not saying I was gonna become a professional athlete, but I was just looking forward to life, success, college, friends, and just the world. I finally left a little small town, a little country town, and I was moving out into the world, and I had all these expectations about what could happen. And then that night when I went to play that game, it just all came to a screeching halt. And I'm just glad my parents were not in the audience when it happened. So I've written a little manuscript that I'm going to leave with the church library. It's kind of a rough draft, and you all can check it out and read in more detail my story. It's not finished yet, but I'm interested in getting it published again. I had basically given up, but I'm just going to contribute that to the library, and you can check it out. But that night I was injured at Lamar University, and I spent about a month in the hospital in Beaumont. And then I spent another 5, close to 6 months in the medical center in Tier. And I was in traction for about 6 weeks, and then I went through rehabilitation, which I always thought I was going to leave that hospital on my feet, but it didn't turn out that way. So with the help of my mother, family, and friends, I had to figure out a way to try to put my life back together. And if you had told me that I would be sitting in this wheelchair for 39 years, I never would have dreamt it. In fact, I wouldn't have wanted to hear that. That would have been too much for a young man of 18 to hear and expect, because you cannot imagine just how difficult it's been in life. But what has made it so sweet is this guy here, and this one, and the young women that I've known and grown up with, and all the additional friends that I've met along the way, because people always tell me how I've done this, and I'm strong, and I've been an example. But whatever strength that I have, and whatever I've done, I've been nourished by my friends and my family and my mother to be able to do whatever I've done. And I've had all these cheerleaders, been cheering me on, continue to score the touchdowns. But I want to thank God and thank all of you for all of that. But there's not a whole lot to tell, except that several things I've come to believe in, and the main thing I've come to believe in is the value of faith in our everyday life, faith in ourselves, faith in God, and people, faith in people like Monzel and Doc. It's very important that when people put their faith in you, that you live up to that faith. And I've been taught through my friends, the people who have faith in me, to live up to that faith. But it's important to have faith in God, and my faith has carried me for all these years. But I do want to say there's been a time when I lost faith. And you can read about it in my book. There's a time when I stopped going to church, and I stopped believing in everything that I grew up believing in, the Christian message. I remember one time when I went home, I was away from home for maybe 2 or 3 years, and I came back, and I had stopped going to church and stopped having any interest in church. And my mother came to me, and she said, "Son." And whenever she says son, I knew something heavy was going to follow. But she said, "Son, how come you don't go to church anymore?" And I couldn't even look her in the face, because my mother was a very pious woman, and she had raised us going to church. And even when we go out and stay out on Saturday nights, we had to be in that church. We had to be in Bible study, Bible class at 9:30 on Sunday morning. And I couldn't even look her in the face. And I just told her, "Ma, I just don't have any interest in that kind of stuff anymore." I mean, it was mythical. It wasn't real to me anymore. Basically, I just had lost faith. And when you lose faith in that, in our Christian reality, the only thing that we have, I mean, I had nothing. I had nothing in life. Life was just miserable. When all your physical life is stripped from you, and then when you lose your spiritual life, you're just a shell. There's just nothing there. And trust me, that is the most miserable place to be in life. And if that had lasted any longer in my life, I wouldn't be here. I had died. Let me just just say it was a near-death experience. I hadn't totally died, but I was very close to it. And I don't think I would have died of an illness. I think I would have just died of emptiness. You know, I just would have died of just misery and emptiness. And this was, this would have been sometime in my mid-40s, maybe a couple of years. My mother died in 1999, so this may have been about the time when she died, because when she died, I wasn't in the church anymore. I had left the Church of Christ, and I wasn't Catholic then, but I had stopped going to church and started getting involved in Eastern mysticism, things like that. But I was just empty. But she died, and I think while she was on the other side, I think she was focusing some sort of beam on me, trying to get me to start going back to church. And I had one friend who would come and visit me. He was an elder in the church, and he was a senior in high school when I was a junior. His name is Robert Ward, and I thought he was going to be able to come today, but he has duties in the Liberty Church of Christ. But he was the offensive tackle when I was a junior. And Robert was an All-American football player. And I remember when Robert would block, he played left tackle, and when he would make a block, he would just wipe out the entire left side of the defensive line. So he make it easy for a running back. But anyway, Robert would come and see me, once a month, and he would just come, and he would just sit down, and he would never mention anything about church or anything about religion. He would just come and visit me, and we'd sit around and talk, and that started me to coming back and going to church again. And gradually, I started reading the Bible again, and my interest in spiritual things was rekindled. But about that time, I was going out to dinner with a good friend of mine, and we had a car wreck, and my face was fractured. The orbit of my eye was fractured, and my maxilla, my upper jaw was fractured, and my nose was broken, which accounts for my physical disfigurement. But I got an infection from that accident while I was in the hospital, and I came home, and I came home with that MRSA in my left lung, and my lung collapsed, and my brother found me unconscious, and I had stopped breathing, so I was intubated and brought down to the hospital in Liberty, and I went to sleep one night, about 3 days after I came home from the collision. And I woke up that next day with a tube in my throat, unable to talk. And I was laying down in the emergency room. I didn't know where I was. I actually thought I had been abducted by aliens. Because I was lying on my back, and these white ceiling lamps shining down on my face. And I had read books about people who were so I thought I was abducted by aliens, and they were performing these procedures on me. And then I finally, gathered myself, and I saw Donna standing up back there in the corner. And then I saw these nurses and this blonde lady who was looking down at me. And I said, she doesn't look like an alien. looks humanoid, very attractive. That kind of softened the blow. But at that time, I didn't know how sick I was, so I was life-flighted to Herman. And that was a whole nother episode. But it was at that time I prayed to God. I was about halfway through my manuscript, and the only thing that motivated me was to get better was I just wanted to finish that manuscript. I just wanted to get the rest of my life story down on that page so that people could read about it, because I felt like there's just something I had to do before I died. Now, whether or not it was going to be published, I just wanted to get that story out because I wanted people to know basically about the transformation that was taking place in my life, how I was just beginning to appreciate people, my friends, my family, and my community like I had never done before. So, you know, that's a whole nother episode. I got better, it took me a while, but I began to sit up again. And it wasn't long after that car crash that Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans, and about a month later, Hurricane Rita hit Liberty County and Jefferson County.
Wow.
And that's when I lost my home. So I had to move here to Houston.